In this video, you're getting a full step-by-step guide on how to make your own AI cartoon videos, even if you've never done anything like this before. By the time you're finished, you'll be able to create results just like this. And honestly, it's easier than you'd think. And the reason this matters so much right now is because these videos aren't just fun experiments with AI. They're one of the fastest ways to grow online today. They can rack up thousands, even millions of views across YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. And that attention can translate directly into real money through monetization, brand deals, and entire businesses you can build on top of your content. So if you've been waiting for a complete tutorial that takes you from zero to a finished AI cartoon video, this is it. This is exactly what I'll be walking you through today. So the way we're going to be creating these AI cartoons is basically in 4 steps. First of all, we're going to create the script. And while we're doing that, I'm also going to teach you exactly how to write a good cartoon script yourself. Plus, I'll give you an AI template that makes the whole process easier. After that, we'll move into the image generation part. That's where we'll actually start turning the script into visuals, using a secret tool that makes the whole process easier. Then once we've got the images, we'll convert them into videos so you're not just stuck with static pictures, but you actually have a moving cartoon. And finally, the last step is doing the voiceover, which is what really brings everything together and makes it feel like a finished cartoon. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to put everything together into a complete cartoon video that you can post online, pretty much anywhere. Now let's start with the first step, which is writing the script. To write a good cartoon script, we need a couple of key things in it. First, we need a hero, so someone the audience will be rooting for. Then we need a villain, someone the hero is going to defeat. And then finally, we need it to be a super simple, easy to follow story that just progresses naturally toward the hero finally doing something great and succeeding at whatever he set out to do. And the best way to script that is in scenes, because when we break it into scenes, it gives us a really nice foundation to create the images for each scene, and then later to actually put them together into a video. So for that exact thing, I made this ChatGPT template right here. It's really simple, but it includes everything you need to make a story work: the hero, the villain, the arc, and it keeps it fun, light, and easy to follow. Now if I copy this template into a brand new ChatGPT chat, I can just insert my idea into the brackets. For example, I'll write, "A brave squirrel tries to save his magical acorn from a sneaky fox who wants to steal it." Then the AI will automatically build out the story following the rules. And here's the result it gave back. As you can see, it made a total of 7 scenes for this cartoon. It starts off with the squirrel playing in the forest. Then the fox shows up. The squirrel tries to escape and hide the acorn, and in the end, the fox loses. Our villain is defeated, and it ends with a happy victory for the squirrel. This is honestly the best and simplest way I've found to write a script. So now that we've got our script in hand, let's move on and start generating some images. And so the tool I'm going to be using to create our cartoon is called OpenArt. The reason I'm using OpenArt is because it's basically a professional all-in-one tool that lets you do everything in one place. You can generate images, turn them into videos, upscale them, and even edit every asset live, all inside one platform, which means you don't need to deal with 5 different subscriptions or switch back and forth between random tools. Everything's all in OpenArt, simple and easy to use. Now to create our initial characters for the cartoon, we're going to be using a feature inside OpenArt called Characters. When you head over there, you'll see 3 options for how you can start. You can start with 4+ reference images, you can start with a single image, or you can just start with a description. If you already have something in mind for what your character looks like, then you probably want to use one of the first 2 options. But I don't have an image ready, so I'm going to use the Start with Description feature. When you open that up, you'll see a UI where you can give your character a name, write a description, and choose a style. So for our main hero, the squirrel, I'll write, "A small brave squirrel with big brown eyes, a fluffy tail, and soft brown fur. He looks careful, curious, and full of energy. He's holding a shiny magical acorn close to his chest, cartoon style, bright colors, with a friendly and heroic expression." For the name, I'll just keep it simple and write squirrel. And then I'll select a style. This part is actually pretty cool because you can pick from different art styles. For this one, I'll go with Pixar style, since that's closest to what I have in mind. Then I just hit create and OpenArt generates a few previews. As you can see, the results look really good, exactly how I imagined. I like all 3 of them, but I think the one on the left is the best fit, so I'll select that and lock in my character. Now, one really powerful thing about OpenArt is that it keeps your characters consistent. You can even generate 2 different characters and then put them into the same image together, which is something most other tools struggle with. So I'll let the squirrel finish generating in the background, and let's go ahead and create our second character, the fox. For the fox, here's the description: a sneaky fox with sharp, clever eyes, pointy ears, and a long bushy tail. His fur is orange with a white belly and black paws. He has a sly grin that shows his mischievous nature. For the name, I'll just put Fox, and again, I'll select the Pixar style to keep it consistent. Once it's done, we get a few previews again, and just like with the squirrel, they look great. I like the one on the right, so I'll just use that one. The The generation usually only takes a few minutes, so it doesn't slow you down much at all. Now that we have both of our characters created, we can start building the actual scene images. Let's start with our first scene, which is just a squirrel. I'll click create on the squirrel icon and it'll open up a new workflow. Inside the workflow, there are a few things you need to know. First, in the prompt section, you basically describe what's happening in the scene and you can add your characters to it. You can add your first character, add your second character, and also create interactions between them. I'll show you how that works in just a second. Then you've got prompt adherence, which controls how strictly the AI sticks to your description. You also have character settings, which let you control how closely it remembers the character and whether it keeps it close consistent from scene to scene. So let's create our first image. For this, I already made a template in ChatGPT. All I have to do is paste in the scene description, and the template gives me back a full image prompt I can copy over to OpenArt. For example, in the template, it'll say character 1 as a placeholder. In my case, that's the squirrel. So I just replace it with squirrel. Then I'm good to go. I'll set it to generate 4 images just to make sure we get at least one really good one. And as you can see, the results came out perfect. The AI followed the description exactly, and the squirrel came out looking just the way I envisioned. Now let's move on to the second prompt. This one uses a character 2, which in our case is the fox. To add him, I just click on the add character button, and now he shows up in the UI. Then when I'm writing the prompt, I'll replace character 2 with fox. And now let's hit create and see what we get. And there we go, it looks amazing. Both characters show up together in the same scene, consistent with their designs. And it's exactly how I wanted it to look. So that's basically how the image workflow goes. You go back to ChatGPT, grab the prompt from the template, paste it into OpenArt, and generate the image. Then just repeat that for each scene. By the way, if you're making actual shorts, you'd normally want to set everything up in vertical format. Since this is a long form video though, I'm keeping it in landscape so it's easier for you to see the details. Let's do the next one. It's a scene with both characters, so I'll replace character 1 with squirrel and character 2 with fox. If you mix them up, things can get weird really fast, so just make sure the names are matched correctly. And as you can see, it generated just fine. So I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of the images in the same way. Once they're all done, I'll mark my favorites with a star so they're easy to keep track of. And now all the images are ready to go. So to generate our videos, this part is actually pretty simple. We've already done the hard work by generating all the images. Now all you need to do is head over to the video section in OpenArt. Make sure you're switched over to the image to video option, which is the one that starts off with a starting frame. Then you just select your model. Personally, I recommend going with Kling 2.1 or Kling 2.5, since those give the best results for cartoons. Google VO3 is the most realistic model, but we don't really need realism here. We want more saturation in the colors, everything looking nice, happy, and cartoon-like. So Kling is the way to go. So I'll select Kling 2.5 and grab my first scene image. You can do this really easily without even downloading the files. Just click on history, and you'll see every image you've made already sitting there ready to go. So I'll just pick the first one, click confirm, and now we can write the prompt. Now, you might have already noticed that when you're using the template, it actually generates a video prompt for you as well. So it's basically the exact same process we used for images. You just grab the prompt from ChatGPT, paste it into the model, and then set your duration. For duration, it really depends on the scene. Sometimes 5 seconds is enough, sometimes you'll want 10. You'll just have to think about what makes sense for the moment. Once you've picked that, just click create and let's see what comes out. And here we go. The result looks great. The squirrel is playing with the acorn in the forest, the acorn has a little glow to it, and the whole thing looks really smooth. The colors are bright, it feels focused, and overall, it's just an incredible result. Now just like we did with the images, we'll go back, grab the next scene, paste in the prompt, set the duration, and hit create. Then repeat that process scene by scene until everything's generated and ready. So I'll go ahead and finish generating all of mine, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, now that all of my videos are done, you can see they came out looking amazing. Everything is consistent. The characters stayed exactly the same from scene to scene, and it all worked perfectly. So with the videos ready, we can now move on to one of the final steps in the process, creating the audio. So for generating our narration, we're still gonna stay inside OpenArt. But before that, you'll just wanna head over to ChatGPT and grab all of your lines. You can either copy them one by one, or you can just take the whole scene script, paste it into the same chat, and ask the AI to give you all of the narration lines together. That's what I did. It just made it easier to copy everything over in one go. Then head back to OpenArt, and down in the bottom left, you'll see the audio section. This part uses ElevenLabs as the model, and as you probably know, ElevenLabs is one of the best tools out there for speech generation, so it works perfectly for narration. I'll paste all my lines into the prompt window. You can also do it one line at a time if you prefer, but honestly, I think it's just easier to generate everything at once and then cut it up later in your editing tool if something doesn't line up perfectly with a scene. As long as you end each sentence cleanly, the AI will leave enough of a pause for you to move the lines around without any problem. Now Now comes the fun part, picking your voice. For this one, I wanted to feel like an older guy telling the story to his grandchildren. So I'm gonna go with American, male, and old. That narrows it down to a few options, and out of those, I really like Jesse the best. So I'll select Jesse, and then let's walk through the settings. Stability controls how steady the voice sounds. If you lower it, the voice becomes stiff and monotone. If you raise it, it gets more natural with a little bit of play. Since this is kind of a children's story, I'll set it a little higher at around 0.6. Similarity boost determines how closely the AI sticks to the original voice. So I'll just leave that at 0.5. Then there's style exaggeration. This makes the voice more animated or dramatic, but I don't really want that for this story. So I'll keep it very low at 0.1. Finally, the speed. By default, it's set at 1, but I'm going to slow it down just a little to 0.9, so it feels more like storytelling. Once all that's set, I'll click create.
This is Sammy the Squirrel. He has a very special acorn full of magic and sparkle.
And as you can hear, the result sounds really good. It's exactly the type of narration I had in mind. Plus, the pacing naturally leaves just enough space so that, if needed, I can cut it up and move lines around in editing without it sounding weird. So I'll hit the download button, and now we've got all of our assets ready to go. Next, I'll head over to my video editor of choice, which for me is CapCut. I'll open a new project, drag in all my assets, and start lining them up. I'll put the videos in the right order, add in the generated narration, and sync everything up. And with that, everything is done. I'll export the final video, and let's take a look.
This is Sammy the Squirrel. He has a very special acorn full of magic and sparkle. But look, the sneaky fox wants to steal Sammy's magical acorn. The fox creeps closer, but Sammy's ready to protect his treasure. Zoom! Sammy runs as fast as he can, with the fox chasing right behind. Sammy is clever. He hides the acorn up high, where the fox cannot reach. Oh no, the fox falls into the bushes. Sammy's magical acorn is safe at last. Sammy the brave squirrel saved his magical acorn, and the forest is happy again.
The result looks very, very good. The video generation came out amazing, and the characters stayed consistent across all the scenes, which is something a lot of people skip, and it ends up ruining the immersion. Here, it really holds together. So overall, I'd say this is a very strong result. So now you know how to take an idea straight out of your head and turn it into a finished cartoon ready to post online. And the cool part is, you can use this to start growing really fast, whether you're posting YouTube Shorts, TikToks, or any other kind of short form content. And what makes this whole process even better is that we did all of it inside OpenArt, with no need of switching multiple subscriptions or dealing with logins everywhere. Everything you need is right there in one place, which just makes the whole workflow smoother and a lot more fun. So if you want to start creating your own cartoons or any kind of AI content, go ahead and start using OpenArt with the link down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.